I hate the special treatment white people get in Africa. Like, literally, ass kissers, the lot of you.
I get so many questions from people who look like me, asking me why I wouldn't take my children to Africa and why I moved them to Europe. When I travel to Africa and I am in the airport and the airport attendant tells me to step aside so that the Indians and the Europeans can walk through, there is a level of self-hatred still to this day in Africa.
I had never been treated like that, and I'm just leaving Italy, which a lot of people say Italy is so racist, but I never had that kind of experience on vacation. Honestly, my last day kind of getting adopted by this corporate retreat really did make a difference. And the place where all this happened to me and where I was treated like dirt was by other Black people in St. Kitts.
Hi guys, welcome back to our channel. In case you're new here, my name is Maren and I'm Maureen. So in today's episode, we found a very interesting video, and this was of Black women who are giving their racist encounter, or if you rather, their colorist encounter in predominantly Black nations. Yeah, so one of the incidents happened in the Caribbean, St. Kitts and Nevis, and the other one happened in Africa. So guys, let's watch this episode and then we come back and talk about it. Yeah, through this episode, you'll just get to see how badly colonialism, or rather slavery, affected the Black community, and we have become, most of us, not all of us, have become pretty self-hating. Right. It's quite sad to see how Black people treat other Black people. And you guys, you know, there's one thing, when you look at white people, even in America, you will not be able to tell that one is from Irish, one is British, you know, because they all see each other as white. You know, they all see each other as white. You'll never hear them telling each other, go back to Britain or go back to wherever you came from. You know, they're all white when it counts, you know. Right. But for Black people, there's a tendency, guys. So anyway, we don't want to talk a lot. Let's just watch this and then we come back and talk about it. If you've not subscribed, kindly consider doing so, and also leave us a comment to let us know what you think about this episode. Let's watch and then we come back and talk about it.
Okay, so you guys have to ask me what the most racist places I've been to are, how the racism is like in different countries, especially since I have lived in and traveled to a lot of countries. So I've lived in Europe, I've lived in the Middle East, and I live in Asia. So I've seen a lot of different environments and different types of treatment and experiences for traveling while Black. So today I'm going to tell you about the worst place I've ever traveled, where I was treated the most poorly, had the worst time, and will never be going back. And so for context, I went on this trip when I was moving out of Europe. So I left Italy. I lived in Italy for 3 years and I was deciding to move home, but I was going to take like 2 weeks off before starting to really look for a new job in the US. So I came home, dropped off all my stuff because I had moved like a ton of bags, and then repacked a carry-on to go away for a week. So I was going to do 1 week away internationally and then another week traveling domestically, like visiting family. And so when I went away, it started at check-in, really at arrival of the hotel, because when I pulled up, there were kind of like, you know, people outside to welcome new travelers, give them a fresh drink and check their luggage. And no one offered me that, but I just didn't like sweat it too much because I only had a carry-on. And I'm like, oh, all these people, they just have big bags, so I don't really need help anyway, but it's still nice to be offered. Going to check in, I'm waiting in line. I come up and I'm like, hey, I'm checking in. They're like, yeah, we don't have a reservation. I'm like, oh, yeah, I have it. Here you go. Here's all the info. They pull up, they find it. They're like, oh, okay, we got you in this room, whatever. You didn't book the all-inclusive plan, so make sure you check the restaurant pricing. And I'm like, yeah, I know, I never book all-inclusive plans. So I'm like, I'm aware of that, but okay. No offer to upgrade me to the all-inclusive plan. It was just like, you didn't get the all-inclusive plan. The time that I spent like hanging out at the pools or on the beach was just like awful. Like, I could not barely get a drink to save my life. I could not get a server to come take care of me, literally to save my life. Like, I would see them walk past my chair to every other white person, and then when you try to make eye contact and kind of like try to wave them down and get attention when you're ready to order, they're still like looking everywhere but at me, or like looking at me and then looking away, to the point where even like white people next to me were like, oh, I think that girl's waiting to order. And I'm traveling by myself, and I actually kind of bonded with another Black female solo traveler over this because she was seeing the same shit. So we just kind of started hanging out together and like commiserating over our experiences. Same thing also out in town. Like I went out on some cultural excursions, like, you know, you do these little tours, went out to a little market for a day, kind of just exploring off the resort. People in the market are not giving me the time of day. Walked into a couple of shops and like no one greets you, no one even acknowledges your presence, which I don't get pressed by because I know that in some cultures, like you're supposed to greet the shop owner first. Like that's considered polite. Like they're not expected to greet you first. You're supposed to greet them when you come into space. So if a shop owner doesn't greet me, I'm always going to greet them first because I'm not going to know, oh yeah, this might be their kind of cultural thing. So I'd be like, oh, hi ma'am, you know, hello. You know, like just like very standoffish and stank everywhere. And then even like back at the resort in one of my last like days, this kind of whole crop of like it was some kind of conference or team building people, like a whole bunch of corporate white people came to the resort. The last like maybe day and a half I was overlapping. And so they were all like, oh, there's this cool black girl. There's this other cool black girl. They're by themselves. So they kind of like were hanging out with us, and a lot of them wanted to hear about Europe because I was like, oh yeah, I just moved back from Europe and I'm just like hanging out before I have to go back to work. And they were on some kind of corporate retreat, so they all had the all-inclusive plan. So they were like, oh, we'll just get your drinks, we'll just get your stuff, don't worry about it. So of course the servers who had been ignoring me for half the week were kind of like salty about it, but they couldn't do anything. Also, even housekeeping was really shitty. Like the first 2 days, they did not make up my room, even though I had the thing on the sign that says like make up my room. Like, you know, you had that do not disturb card or make up my room card. So I had the make up my room card and they were still just not doing it. To the point where every morning when I left, I would have to call the manager and say, hey, please make sure that someone comes to my room today. And so it really was like a really terrible, sad time because I had never been treated like that. And I'm just leaving Italy, which a lot of people say Italy is so racist, but I never had that kind of experience on vacation. Honestly, my last day kind of getting adopted by this corporate retreat really did make a difference. And the place where all this happened to me and where I was treated like dirt was by other Black people in St. Kitts.
Africans in Africa, you treat white people better than you do Africans, and you need to stop that shit. It is such disgusting behavior. I hate the special treatment white people get in Africa. Like, literally, ass kissers, the lot of you. I remember this one time in Cape Town, I wanted to like get a table at a restaurant, and my friend was like, oh, remember to use your white voice so that they don't tell you that the place is booked out. Sorry, I have been to places at the club, literally there's a line of Black people, Africans, a white person pops up, they're let into the club. Literally it happens all the time. At restaurants, they're given the first tables. Like, Africans are more kind, more welcoming, more understanding when it comes to them. And it's not just even white people, anyone who's not African, but especially white people. Are they God? I'm so confused. So many of you are traumatized from colonization. Stop it!
I get so many questions from people who look like me asking me why I wouldn't take my children to Africa and why I moved them to Europe. When I travel to Africa and I am in the airport and the airport attendant tells me to step aside so that the Indians and the Europeans can walk through, there is a level of self-hatred still to this day in Africa. And you guys are going to get so pissed off at me, and I don't care because I am of African descent. I can say what I want to say. But when you tell me to step aside so that the Europeans and the Indians, our bank accounts look alike, but you want to tell me to step aside in the homeland of my ancestors, but I should step aside so they can, because they need to get through. There is no day on this earth that I will walk this earth and worship a colonizer. The original brown and native people all over this world, I salute you. There are so many injustices in Africa, so many corrupt mindsets, we have to fix it. There was no way that I would ever move my children to a country in Africa. And I'm talking about a specific country, but I've experienced this in 4 countries in Africa now. 4. There is no way that I would ever move my children to Africa and have them experience an establishment owner telling me to remove the fan from my side, because the American, which again, I have not spoken, so you don't even know where I'm from. But the white Americans on the other side, they need the fan. There's no way. There's no way. And again, I am spending time in Dubai as well. I've never had anything like that happen. And I could talk about this all night long. I could talk about it because I married into a Nigerian family as well, who they're very colorist. I remember my mother-in-law telling me that my sister-in-law was having a baby and that she was praying like every day, doing something so that the baby is light skinned. Meanwhile, I have brown children. I myself am brown. So where do you think I should place that? Like, I just never imagined the level of ignorance, the level of self-hatred that some African people have. I was raised in a pro Pan-African household. Like, you are beautiful, baby. I don't care if your edges or roots or not. Enjoy the whatever. You are beautiful. That is how I was raised. That's how my daughter is raised. She prefers, I'm all natural. I don't need anything. And yes, I'm using a filter because I need you guys to understand this. I need to get this message out there. I want everybody to stop and take a listen. It is very much so true. The most hatred that I myself have experienced is in Africa. Especially now, if I'm quiet and I am barefaced, natural hair tied, chilling with no makeup on, and you treat me like dirt because you think that I am not worthy, you don't know who I am, you don't know what I have, you don't know anything, but you treat me like the scum of the earth. Like, who are you? Scoff. I didn't even know scoffing was a thing. But you treat me like that initially. You better keep that same energy. When you do find out who I am, you better keep that same energy, because I don't want my children to be associated with anybody who behaves that way. So this is why, and I have so many people, I get so many questions. Why aren't you in Africa? You have African family. Why aren't you in Africa? I don't want to be in Africa. I don't. I have assets in Africa. I will always advocate for people who look like me. I will always. And you know what? I will always advocate for the African children, because they are the ones who will change. The millennials, the other ones, boomers, done. But I will always advocate for the children, because they are the ones who will eventually change it all. So that is why I educate my children, but I don't immerse them. Not just yet.
So guys, welcome back. I'll first start by addressing the first sister who talked, and her experience was in St. Kitts and Nevis, you know. So this black sister, I don't know, I just felt so sad listening to her story. And this is particularly because for the longest time, especially when it comes to black versus white, black people are seen as the invincible race. And you know, another thing I normally, as I was listening to her, what I was asking myself is, why is it that such people, you know, your money is too good that they can't pass, but your skin color is not good enough to allow you into such places, you know? And what do I mean by this? Why should they take her money only for her to arrive with other tourists, and others are being treated, you know, like their money is worth it? But when it comes to this lady, she's being treated as if she's there to beg, you know, and she paid for all those services. And the saddest part is, it wasn't white people who are treating her like this in St. Kitts and Nevis. It was fellow black people like her who are treating her like she was less than nothing, you know. And you know, through her situation, you know, it just got me thinking, before we expect palm-colored people to treat us as people and to stop the prejudice they hold towards black people, we first have to hold ourselves in high regards. And in situations like this, where the black people in St. Kitts and Nevis was treating this woman badly, they first have to train themselves how to unlearn the ways of colonialism and how to stop being self-hating black people. And how, we as a black community, we need to first start valuing ourselves, such that if we hold ourselves up here with a high regard, only then can we come forward and tell the opposite skin-colored people, the palm-colored people, to stop treating us with prejudice. But how can we tell them to stop treating us with prejudice if we ourselves are prejudiced towards each other?
And another thing the sister in a black shirt said, she was talking about when she came into
the last
whatever
speaker.
whatever country she came into Africa, and her children were told to step aside so that the white and the Indians could get a pass through. And this got me thinking, and I'm like, how right is this lady? Do you know, even in
supermarkets, literally, you'll see black person and a palm-colored person in one line, right? But a supermarket attendant will cautiously come, carry the shopping items for the white or palm-colored person and get them through the line, while maybe I even have more items that I've shopped for valued at more pricey than the palm-colored person. But because I'm black and I'm Kenyan, this supermarket attendant will be like, Madam, asa nituserve huyu haraka tu kidogo. Translation, Madam, please let me attend to this, the palm-colored person.
Because what is it that they have that is so special?
Maybe he's just going back to his hotel room to smoke some weed,
Anyway, guys, I feel like us black people, we need to really change on how, change starts with us. You understand?
Yeah.
We can't expect to be treated differently if us ourselves,
amongst us, there is a group or a crop of black people who are still self-hating, and as a result, they project their self-hate to other black people.
There was another lady, a Kenyan also, who was complaining on TikTok, right? And she was talking about, you guys, I don't know, those of you who've heard about the coastal region of Kenya.
Yeah, for those who've heard about the coastal region of Kenya, you can please let us know where in the coast you went to. There is Mombasa.
And what was your experience?
What was your experience if you're black or white? There's Mombasa, there is Malindi, there is Diani, there is Watamu.
There's a lot of places you can visit, a lot of nice touristic places.
Yeah,
so
sandy
this Kenya,
beaches.
She was doing well in life, and she had been working so hard. She said she decided to gift herself a trip
with a holiday to the coastal region of Kenya, which has the sandy beaches.
Right. So she booked a very nice hotel, and when she got there, guys, this lady was saying that the treatment she got, and I didn't believe this was happening in Kenya, but then again, it's a touristic region where they expect white people to go,
And the funniest thing is, she took the most expensive package, which had services that were all inclusive.
So when she got to Mombasa, I went to this particular resort, and so when she looked around her, that place had a lot of palm-colored people as tourists, right?
And if you could spot black people, they were either black people who were with those white palm-colored people, either the girlfriends of or the boyfriends of the palm-colored people.
Yeah, but she went there alone. One black woman, one black Kenyan woman, right?
And she says that was the biggest mistake. Well, she felt like that could have been the biggest mistake she had done by booking a resort all by herself, a black woman in a predominantly black country, which it shouldn't even have been a mistake to begin with.
Yeah, so she says
home.
Yeah, so she says she got there, guys, and the people who were ushering her, she just detected as some kind of attitude.
And then when it got, they didn't even serve her in the beginning. They were serving the Muzungus, the palm-colored people.
Yeah,
they were serving the Muzungus first, and ignoring her.
Right. So when she went to be served, she let me be respectful. So she said the person who was supposed to serve her was ignoring her, and she's standing right there in front of that person,
the bartender or waiter.
And she says this person had the guts to ask her what was she doing there without a white man.
Guys, imagine you guys being a black person in a predominantly black country, and to make matters worse, you are a citizen of that country, and then a fellow citizen of that country who probably earns way less than you asks you, where did you get the guts to come in this establishment without a white person?
That's none of their business. I feel like, to be honest, is it that people don't believe that some things women can't afford?
Not only women, just black people in general. I don't know what do they believe that black people don't have the right to afford the nicer things in life that
palm-colored people
only palm-colored people can afford those nice things. And you know, this is why you even find in these predominantly black countries, let me speak for Africa, when palm-colored people come here, they are usually taken advantage a lot, especially when it comes to finance. They are usually taken advantage a lot because automatically these black people, they believe that white people have more money than black people.
Yeah, and then that brings me to to another point. Now that you've mentioned it, why would a palm-colored person consciously sit down in a predominantly black country? Let's just take the case of these ones who are they're being ushered in, and there's a line of black people there, and you just
carry their legs and
walk
to the
forward.
front of the line, and anyway.
Exactly. They say much as people are using the system to benefit them, it also affects them. And what do I mean by this? When you walk, like you got muscles to flex,
like
you're
got
gonna
money
lose a lot
to
of
spend.
money. Yeah. Because those privileges don't come for free. You won't just be, you won't
taken here and there for free.
Yeah.
Palm-colored people, much as you're enjoying, I usually say when you go to a country, try as much as possible to know the local pricing and also the local way of the local people, how they live, because if you carry yourself with all that importance because you're being ushered in rooms first before the black people, whatnot,
you have white,
these are the things that are gonna make you pay more than what is actually needed for you to pay as a palm-colored person.
And then you leave that country saying, this country is mean to me, it's dishonest, they con me of my money, Did you think those privileges were gonna come for free? And it's because of you they're also oppressing these black people. But anyway, in general, what you're just saying is, I wish that we black people can learn to do better and can love each other.
To hold ourselves and fellow black people with high regards, such that if we do this by holding each other in high regards, we will then have a leg to stand on when we demand of the same from the palm-colored people.
Right. So guys,
it's not that we demand for the same from the palm-colored people, and we
but
ourselves,
at least amongst ourselves, we should be able to do that for each other. Right. Guys, let us know what you think about this episode. We really appreciate you for tuning in. Kindly remember to subscribe if you have not, and leave a comment for us so that we know what you think about this episode, right?
Right. We'll see you on our next episode. And if you have any experience with colorism amongst black people, just tell us how your experience was like and where this situation happened.
Yeah, hopefully we all get to learn from this episode and from the comment section. Let's just correct each other with love, right? But anyway, let's just put in the work, right?
Right. So guys, let's see you on our next episode.